everyone. I'm not feeling the best. I had a migraine that's sort of morphed from pain to pressure and kind of dizziness. But I wanted to make this video before I forgot because I think that the situation has kind of stepped up, and I just want to go ahead and talk about it. So for those of you guys that follow me on Patreon, you'll know that I'm here during the coronavirus outbreak. I don't like the name COVID-19. I don't think it's a very easy name to say. I type it with no problem, but just for speaking purposes, I'm just going to call it SARS-2 while I'm talking in this video, just for brevity. So you guys know that I'm here during the whole SARS-2 thing, and you'll know that I've just been keeping track of it, but I realized I haven't posted anything on my public channel, and after what I saw today, I kind of realized that I need to. So I'm just going to go ahead and just catch you up real quick on where we are. I am on day 8 of a shutdown, and we're allowed to leave the house, but it's not advised that we do unless you have to, such as going to the grocery store or if you must go to work. Because I'm a teacher, the Ministry of Education had shut down all schools, so we're shut down. Because you can't just shut down a school, especially, since some of the students are seniors and whatnot, this would just really mess everything up. So what ends up happening now is we're all just working from home. The students are submitting their work from home, and the teachers are grading it and assigning it. And starting next week, we'll be doing online courses. So instead of just the students doing self-study and turning in homework and asking questions, we'll be actually having a school schedule just like normal, except everything's going to be online. So that's going to be kind of interesting. I hope all my students make it and all that good stuff. So for those of you guys that don't know, we were doing pretty okay in terms of cases. We just had a few dozen cases until about 9 days ago or so, 10 days ago. It was a Friday morning when we found out suddenly we have 156 cases, which just shot up suddenly. The situation was started by a cult called the Shincheonji cult, and they are a Christian cult that believes that their leader is the second coming of Jesus Christ. They believe very strongly in faith healing, so wearing a mask or seeking medical treatment is very much against their religious beliefs. As such, when one of the members had caught SARS-2, they continued to go to their church meetings. Now, with SARS-2, you're actually contagious for about 14 days while you are asymptomatic, and then you end up getting sick and showing all the symptoms, and I believe you're still contagious or more contagious at that point, but most people are going to self-quarantine or go seek medical treatment. In this case, the person continued to attend church services, and they ended up trying to get faith healing. This type of church, not only with faith healing being an issue, but the way that they just have their service, it's a really great place for a respiratory virus to spread, because they sit about 5 centimeters away from each other, and then after every sentence that the leader says, they say amen. So they're sending out a lot of respiratory droplets, which, they can all breathe in together. The other issue was that this was in a city called Daegu. Maybe you guys have heard of Daegu. It's just quite a large city. It's a large metropolitan area. And another place you may have heard of is North Gyeongsang Province, or Gyeongsangbuk-do. Now, technically, physically, Daegu is in Gyeongsangbuk-do, but it is so large that it doesn't fit under the provincial government. They have their own government. It's so large that there's an airport where you can fly in from Seoul if you need to get there quickly for business, for example. So it's quite a large area. When you get a sudden explosion of the virus in quite a large area, of course, that's not awesome. Additionally, some of the members that were attending those church services didn't live in Daegu. They lived in other places like Seoul or Busan, for example. And so they had brought it to those regions, which, again, is not awesome. It's basically stay at home and don't go out unless you have to go out. If you go out, wear a mask and bring hand sanitizer with you. Hand sanitizer is available pretty much everywhere. Starbucks has hand sanitizer just for you to use at the register, but every public transportation does as well. I'm not sure about the taxis. I haven't taken a taxi since this happened, but I do know that the bus system and the subway system, everywhere you go, there is hand sanitizer available. So it's been kind of an issue with the masks because at first, a lot of the materials that Korea used to manufacture the masks came from China, but now we're sending about 10% of our masks to China, and so we started putting a limitation on how many masks a person can buy at a time, and places where they can be distributed. So like post offices are distributing them now. They're about 5 masks for about $4 US, so they're very affordable. If you get sick and you have money, the treatment is practically free. If you get sick and you don't have money, the treatment is free. If you're a foreigner here that's traveling on business or whatever and you need treatment, it's also free. So, of course, you do that so it encourages people to get treatment as opposed to wandering around and reinfecting everyone. So if you guys want to learn more about it, more about the specifics, I just kind of wanted to catch you up, but I didn't want to go too in depth, but I guess, 6 minutes in, there goes that. You can check out my Discord. I'll put a link to that in the details section or a pinned comment. I'm not sure. You guys can also check out Arirang News, which I'll also put a link. Arirang is a news service in Korea that is in English, and they've got some really great YouTube clips. So they do live streaming on YouTube for episodes or updates, and they also have just short clips that you can watch, which have been very helpful as well. They also have a website, but the short news clips you can check out. I think it's, they do have different information on the news clips. I think it's because it's easier to make a 30-second news clip than it is to justify, writing a few lines and calling that a news article and putting it online. I don't know how that works, but it's just, every day I check Arirang's website and Arirang's YouTube stuff. So we went to work today, not to go back to school, but just to make sure that all the teachers get their stuff, and then the students will be coming to school at a later time this week to get their books and whatnot, because we had only planned for like a week or so for a shutdown, but now since we're just extending it to at least the 3rd week of March, if not longer, we just wanted to get all of our stuff taken care of and get any equipment that we needed, upload any equipment that we needed, any PowerPoints and whatnot. So that's what we had to take care of. So I got to see my coworker, and for me, I mean, it's been kind of boring, but otherwise I'm okay. But for my coworker, he seems quite stir crazy, and he wanted to go to the gym today. I thought, well, why the fuck would you go to the gym? The gym, you just catch shit anyway, virus or no virus. You go there, you get fucking athlete's foot, you get some weird fungus on the back of your knee and shit. Like, you get stuff you contract things from a gym regularly. Why would you go there in the middle of this outbreak? And he told me he's been going kind of stir crazy. He told me about his diet, and I'm not having it. So I don't exactly remember where I learned this. It might be an amalgamation of things that I've learned, growing up preparing for Armageddon when I was in my religious group. I feel like some of it I learned in the military, and I'm not sure where else, but it's basically how to prevent cabin fever. So what you want to do is, number 1, keep a schedule. Number 2, keep your shit clean. And number 3, eat properly. So first of all, keep schedule. I wake up, my alarm is set at 6 o'clock for work, but I usually wake up around 5:50 and I just get up. These days, of course, I'm not going to work, so I don't set an alarm, but I still wake up between 6 and 6:30 naturally. I guess my body's just used to it, and I get up out of bed. I get up and I get onto the exercise bike. The reason that I do this is because sleeping for long periods of time, you guys know, everybody's done it. You get that weird sleep hangover. You're not really sure what to do, and you end up just making stupid decisions. You want to get out of the house. You don't know what day it is. You don't know what's been going on. You just feel really disconnected and discombobulated, and that's not where your headspace needs to be. The other thing that I had mentioned too was keeping the room clean. Basically everything that I'm doing to prevent cabin fever, my coworker had been doing the opposite and he's succumbing to it. So this is why, because I saw him today, but also as the virus has been kicking up, more people are asking me on social media, hey, what do you think I should do? What are ways to deal with this? So the first thing, like I said, is keep a schedule. I go to bed at the same time pretty much every night and wake up at the same time every morning. Do my exercises. I have my coffee. I, have some stuff to do. I've got hobbies. I've got my PS4. I've got shit to clean. I've got my cats to brush and to take care of their kitty litter box and, their food. I've got macrame. I've been trying to do macrame. I made a choker the other day, just with some stuff that I kind of hot glued together. You need something to do to keep you occupied. One of the things I've been doing to keep occupied is documenting the progression of stuff during this high intensity sort of shutdown that we've got going on. That's just, something to do. Get into, watching a Netflix series and writing a fan fiction about it, something like that. Just keep your mind busy. The second thing I had mentioned was to keep everything clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. If your room or your home is cluttered, it just really affects how you feel. It really affects how you think. You start feeling suffocated. You want to get out. You want to throw everything away. It just really affects how you feel. And that's with the clutter that you escape from every day. If you wake up and go to work and you come back home and you're like, gosh, this room's so fucking messy. Oh, well, I'll take care of it on the weekend. That's one thing. But to wake up in the middle of the day and realize that there's shit everywhere and you haven't cleaned up for days, the house is starting to smell, you don't know where to start, so you just don't, and you go back to bed, that really starts to affect you psychologically. So keep everything clean. I sweep every day, I do the dishes every day, and that sort of thing. So you want to be doing that every day. You want it, that's part of your routine. Finally, like I said, you want to be taking or getting healthy food. So it can be difficult to get fresh produce. So I do recommend produce that doesn't go bad as quickly. So not your tomatoes and your cucumbers, your lettuce, but you want things like cabbage, red cabbage, carrots, broccoli, some cauliflower, that kind of thing. Onions can be good too, especially if it's cold still. Beets, kohlrabi, that kind of stuff. So these like thicker root vegetable, cruciferous vegetable, that kind of stuff. Additionally, you can also chop them up, put them in the freezer, and then just use them for stews, for example, stir fry, something like that. So it's already pre-chopped, it's ready to go, and you don't have to worry about spoilage, and it's, really healthy, and, again, it's already prepped. So those are the things that you want to be focusing on. If you can get a vitamin D supplement, if you're not able to get some sunshine, maybe from like a balcony or something, or some open windows that you have if you live above, maybe above the 4th floor or so, take a vitamin D supplement just to make sure you're, kind of getting that covered. If you feel like it, if it just helps you feel better, take a multivitamin. There's differing views on the efficacy of multivitamins, but I think that if you just need that placebo, I don't think it's not harmful, unless you're overdosing on it, which, you wouldn't be. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking it. Nuts are good to have in the house. Rice or oat groats, those are good to have. and just make some basic healthy meals, some rice with some side dishes, some stew with, again, some rice or some bread. You can get into trying to practice baking bread if you want to do that. Something just to keep your body healthy, because if you're stuck just eating like ramen and canned soup, I think anybody that's had to be, go through something like this, that poor nutrition affects your brain. Absolutely does. So bad sleep affects your brain. It affects your ability to make good decisions. Having a crazy shitty house affects your ability to make decisions, affects your brain. And having a poor diet also affects your brain in a negative way. So to prevent cabin fever, you want to take care of all of those things. So that's what I got for you guys. How to prevent it, just basically don't go outside as much as possible. Make sure that you have a mask or something if you go outside. If you can, cover your eyes with some kind of glasses or goggles, do that. That'll just add a layer of protection. It's not going to be 100% effective, but if it helps you feel better going outside, go for it. Do try to keep note of food availability. I have noticed that, I don't want to say shortage, but there has been a delay in restocking. Normally the place that I go to is a bit nicer than the average grocery store, so their shelves are constantly stocked normally. So when I went out, I had to do something with my banking and bill paying a few days ago. When I saw that a lot of the drinks and stuff hadn't been restocked, that was concerning to me. Since I did have to go to work today, I decided to stop at the store on the way home, and I noticed that a lot of the drinks had been restocked. Different drinks were out, new stuff, so that was a little interesting. But now almost all of the ramen is empty, which, again, if that's all you got, that was concerning. I don't know why. I think there just might be a delay. So, this is another part of keeping your shit together. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't let your imagination run wild. If you feel it happening, talking about it, I'm having an anxiety response right now, in my chest, just a physical anxiety response. Just, you can't give into those thoughts. You just cannot. What I tell myself, my mantra is, maybe, but not right now, so don't freak out now. It doesn't serve any purpose. So, whatever I'm thinking that, oh God, what if this happens? Maybe, but it's not happening right now. Don't freak out right now. It's not going to do you any good. So that's what I tell myself. I've been telling myself that more and more lately, especially as the cases are jumping quite high. So, just give me a second, sorry. Like I said, I am having an anxiety response talking about it. The other thing I wanted to mention, I totally forgot. Oh, conspiracy theories. I've heard a lot of them. I don't think there's any value or stock in them. The most common one I've heard is, depending on where you're from, you're going to say the U.S. created the virus, or China created its own virus, and the whole reason would be to damage the economy of China. If I want to damage China's economy, I'll do anything except a virus, A virus, you get it, all you can kind of do is manage symptoms and whatever. Your immune system will probably take care of it. But like a bacterial infection, you need hospitalization, you need amputation, you need medication. And if a lot of people can't get that, can't afford it, it's just not available, a lot of people will die. And I think that would be far more damaging to anyone's economy. Tainting the air with some kind of chemical, or putting lead in the water, mercury in the water supply, something like that. That would be way more effective if I was going to damage some economy, you know. So the using a virus that mutates and might fizzle out, it doesn't seem very likely. Some people have been talking about Agenda 21. China's one of the few places that's kind of trying to take care of itself. Costa Rica is doing really well with a zero emissions plan and stuff, and a lot of places in South America are as well. But China is, because of their high population density and their high population in general, they are switching to things like solar panels. They're trying to limit, road usage, that sort of thing. So, I mean, that's not the place that I would necessarily target. If I were going to target a place, it would be Beijing, specifically, and Delhi. So if I was the UN and I was releasing some viral agent because of Agenda 21, which has nothing to do with population control, that's where I would release it. I would release it in Hong Kong, Beijing, and Delhi. Yeah, I mean, those are the places you want to hit. So the fact that it happened in Wuhan, not, just doesn't seem very likely. I heard that this accidentally got out, and it was the virus that they were testing so they could test vaccines. We do that. That's something that everybody does to test vaccines. We do that. So, letting it out on accident seems highly unlikely. But we do that. Some people have just wanted to be upset at China because it seems to be related to some kind of eating of some kind of animal that isn't typically seen around the world as a food animal. You have to remember that culture and education. I'm not saying that we have to be sensitive and understanding necessarily and permissive of those things, but that until we fix ideas behind culture and superstitious beliefs and education related to superstitious beliefs, stuff like this happens all the time. So, we have anti-vaxxers in Western culture. They're not any better, I would say. So, in terms of public health, public safety. So none of the conspiracies have really made any sense to me. Somebody was asking why Korea is doing so many tests, because they're not able to hospitalize everyone. We're doing a lot of tests because we need to know who's sick. And if you get sick, do you have SARS-2 or do you got just something else? A lot of the cases are mild. So if it's mild, you either self-quarantine or they've actually opened up new facilities, new care facilities. That's the word I'm looking for. So they open up some care facilities for those people, and then the people that are having severe pneumonia symptoms, for example, they're the ones now that are going to the hospital. A lot of stuff, is self-quarantine, which I think is fine. I'm doing fine with it, but maybe not for those cult members, because they had allowed them to do self-quarantine. Obviously, they're not interested in self-quarantining, so the government is coming after them a little bit more. The leader, they're trying to see if there's any way to prosecute him, and there's actually a lot of Koreans are signing petitions for President Moon's impeachment. So that's those are some issues that are happening here. So this is not a cut and dried issue. Additionally, there are people that are still walking around without their mask on. They're still openly coughing and sneezing and having these poor practices, sharing food and all this other stuff. So this is an issue that has to be taken care of on many levels. And so, that's how you can do your part is, stay indoors, wash your hands if you touch things, so you're not not only not to transfer the substance from a surface to your face, which, by the way, it can last between a few hours to up to 9 days outside of the human body. So please be fucking careful. But not only do you not want to touch a surface and transfer it to your respiratory system, but you don't want to touch a surface and then touch something else, and now you've transferred it to this other thing. So even if you're not making yourself sick, you're still passing this around. Obviously you can't be perfect about it. It's going to get on your clothes and you're going to touch stuff. You shouldn't be, paranoid about it. You should be, I call it healthy paranoid. Do what you can that's reasonable. It is reasonable to avoid touching things. And if I have to touch something, it is fine to squirt a little hand sanitizer, wipe my hands off before I touch something else. That's totally reasonable for me to do, and I do that. So hopefully, you guys can find something that works for you. I know it has spread into places in Europe and also North America. I'm not 100% sure how bad it's going to be in places in North America. Places like the United States, you don't have national health care there. And the testing kits are sort of few and far between. And a lot of them, they have to be redone because they have a lot of problems with getting an accurate result. So, what does that mean? At the same time, there's a lot lower of a population density. So for here in Korea, it's very easy to spread because there's so many people packed together. But if you live in the middle of like a farmland where there's like one house per, every 5 kilometers, there's another house, you're probably not going to get it. But still, practice good safety, hygiene, and all that stuff, and keep your schedule, keep your stuff clean, keep your food healthy, get some hobbies, do something that you've always wanted to do but you've always been putting off. You wanted to learn another language, open up that Duolingo app that you never use anymore, sew up some stuff you had. There's a jacket you never wear because it's got that hole in it. I'll sew it up tomorrow, I'll get it tailored, I'll figure something out. Sew it up now, while you got time. Sort your clothes, see what you want to give away, see what you need to throw away, see if you like something and you don't wear it anymore but you like the material, make it into a pillow or something. Do something with your time. That's going to help pass the time. It's going to help you not freak out. So I know a lot of people are freaking out and they are getting cabin fever. I'm not. So it's work to not do it. Of course I want to sleep in. Of course, but I don't, because I know that if I make that a habit, it's going to start getting to me, that I'm being inside the house all the time. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. This video is a lot longer than I had expected. So I hope that there's been good information. Feel free to ask questions in the comment section. And again, check out the Discord, check out Arirang News, just for some updates if you care about what's happening in Korea. We're handling it, but there's, things that a lot of people think if we could go back in time, we should have, been a lot faster acting and stronger acting against the cult. I'm really, I believe in freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of religion even, but not when you're a danger to public health because of your unsupported, unsubstantiated beliefs. I know a lot of you probably won't, but, please, if somebody says something like pray for Korea, pray for China, whatever, we don't need more religion in this. We need knowledge. We need understanding. We need scientific literacy. We don't need people going on about the 5G attack has led us to be corona bombed from chemtrails. We don't need that shit. We don't need people offering pseudoscience or bullshit cures. If you see that stuff here, if you see it in any other YouTube post or YouTube comment or tweet or something, report it. Report it as either spam, or if they have an option for like fake news or what's the other one? It's like unsupported medicine or something. Like claiming you have a cure. If they have that option under the reporting feature, report it. Report stuff that you see that people are trying to sell or recommend, even like cures. Some people are saying quercetin, take quercetin, that's going to cure. It's not going to fucking cure you. Someone says the measles vaccine fixes it. Maybe, but we can't recommend it. We can't have people going around freaking out about, oh, if they come out with the vaccine for this, don't take it. This is not going to help. So if you don't have any science supporting your position, maybe keep it to yourself. Obviously, I can't tell you what to do, but I am strongly recommending that if you want the outbreak to stop, don't add to the panic and don't add to the confusion with a lot of your completely unsupported claims just because you personally distrust the government. Distrust the government. Government fucking sucks. Okay? But don't assume that there's some kind of evil thing lurking behind every decision the government makes. The government, it ain't that cool, okay? It ain't that crafty. They don't look that forward in time. They're not that well planned. They are not that well put together to have this like grand orchestrated thing. I've worked for the government. I've worked for the military. They are not that coordinated. They are not that slick. Okay, they're just handling shit as it comes, just like any other person does. To assume that the government has this like grand overarching plan is to assume that the government knows what it's fucking doing, and it usually doesn't. They just do their best, which is what any of us can hope for, and if they're very bad at making decisions, you vote them out of office. That's all it is. These are not people that are planning this like insane world-ending pandemic or something. So yeah, also that's been another thing. People have been complaining about the WHO not declaring it a pandemic. It might be a pandemic tomorrow. It might be a pandemic by the time I post this video. But for the time being, my understanding of the WHO's version of a pandemic is when most people on the planet can expect to encounter this virus. Not a pandemic is, it's an epidemic in some nations, but if we take the proper steps, we can still prevent it from being a pandemic again. A pandemic is most people are going to encounter this virus. So as long as we kind of keep it under wraps, then people can reasonably expect to not have to encounter this virus. And so that's my understanding of the WHO's definition and why they're not calling it a pandemic yet. People are calling it like the Wuhan Health Organization and just saying they're into all this. It's like, why would they waste their time? The WHO puts out stuff that's unpopular constantly, that shits all over everybody's happy day. Stuff like red meat and processed meat being ranked the same as tobacco and asbestos as a class 1 carcinogen. Nobody likes reading that. That is not a popular finding, but that is put out by the WHO because that's where the evidence is. So to say that this organization that consistently reports that, hey, you guys are fucking up and you're damaging your health and nobody even gives a shit. I mean, how many of you know the WHO's recommended intake of free sugars a day, and how many countries exceed that every day, even for children? The WHO's putting out this information that nobody gives a shit about anyway, but it's very unpopular stuff that nobody wants to follow. They think it's too strict and whatever. And now you're telling me that same organization is suddenly not going to be strict by calling it a pandemic? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So again, it's just a situation of just a definition, classification. That's all it is. Are you expecting, more than like 95% of people to encounter this virus? Yes, pandemic. No, not pandemic. So, but again, maybe tomorrow it's a pandemic, but as it is, it's not. And that's good. That's a good thing. Do your best to keep it together. If you don't trust the government to take care of you, don't also go around and try to get people to not follow basic, sanitation and hygiene practices. So just do your best, stay inside, make sure you got enough food, healthy food, and, you know, do your best. So, like I said, if you guys have questions, feel free to post them. I hope that nobody needs this information, but it seems like people are starting to. So I just wanted to pass it along, and feel free to share it. I think it's important to have realistic expectations of how to deal with the situation. It's a weird situation. A lot of people aren't prepared for it, and you will succumb to cabin fever if you don't prepare against it. So I think for most people that are worried about what to do in case of a shutdown, a lockdown, a quarantine, curfew, whatever, I think most people probably aren't going to contract the virus. If they do, they're probably not going to die. But I think everybody is at risk for cabin fever. And that's why I just wanted to talk about this. So anyway, like I said, post in the comments and visit Discord and all that good stuff. That's all I got for you right now.